So now from this video, we will start working on making this application. And now the first thing we need to be doing is that I will just create a Python file inside of this project. Now my project is named as Python project, but in your case, that might be a different name. So I'm going to basically right click on my project and then new and then this Python file. And now I will just name this Python file as music player app and then hit enter and it will actually create this Python file inside of this project, Python project. Okay, now the first thing that I will do is that I will just import all the things that we will actually that is actually required in making this application. So the first thing I'll just import is the operating system module, and in Python it is the OS module, and then the next thing I'll just import is the random module, and then the third one I will just import is the most important thing, which is the Kivy module. Make sure that you have installed the Kivy module because it is through the Kivy module that we will be making this music player. Okay, next I will just import the app class from kiwi.app. So let's type from kiwi.app. From kiwi.app, we're going to be importing app app class. Okay, and next I will just importing. I will start importing some. I will start importing something from the Kiwi MD. From Kiwi MD. So right in here, I will just say from Kiwi MD dot UIX dot relative layout. I'm going to be importing MD relative layout. Okay, and next I will just be importing kiwi.uix, and then since we will be having buttons on our music player, so I'm going to basically import this class button. Basically, yeah, button. Okay. Next, what I need to be doing is that I will just import the MD app class as well. So I will just type from Kivy md.app. I can import it is MD app. Okay. Next, I will just import. So in here I will just type from Kivy.co.audio. We're going to be importing the sound loader class as well. Okay, so these are some of the things, some of the imports that we will be needing in making this application, but there are some other things that we will be importing as we go along with this application. So for now, what we will do is that, let me just scroll it down. Okay, so now I will just create a class and I will just name this class anything that I want, but I will just name it as my app. You can just name it anything you want. Okay, now in here I will be passing this class MD app that I've imported from kivymd.app. Okay, now inside of this class, the first function that we will have is the build function. So build function, and then in here we will display first of all our window, and that is basically through this MD relative layout. So MD relative layout, copy and paste, and now in here as an argument, what you can do is that you can actually set the background color of the application using this built-in attribute, which is MD BG MD background underscore color, and now this can be equal to an array. And now inside of this array, you can pass the color code of the color that you want for your application. So in this case, it will be 0. So the code is 00 and then 0.5. And then the intensity of it will be 1. Okay, now what this app will do is that it will actually return this window, which is actually stored in this variable layout. And now in here, I will just create my main method. So in here, I'll simply type if not like this, it's if. But first of all, let me just scroll it down. Okay, so if underscore name, it's gonna be equal to underscore main, and make sure that you spell it right. It is if name equal to underscore main. Then what you need to be doing is that you actually need to call this class my app. Okay, so my app, and now since if you want to run this function build, then you actually need to call it with this function run. So this is actually a built-in method, and now what this run will do is that it will actually look for this function build. So once it actually call this function is actually first of all creating this window, and then it's actually returning this layout. And once it actually return that layout, we're gonna basically see window in which we will place all our widgets. Okay, so now we can actually execute this application. So just run this application, and now you can just see that we have this window, and then the background color is set to this dark blue, but you can have any background color of your choice. Okay, now the final thing that I will do is that I will do for this video is that I will just resize this window. Now, for resizing this window, what I will do is that in here, I will just import the window class from kiwi.code dot window, and we need to be importing this class window. Okay, now to resize it, what we will do is that we'll just say window and then call this boolean attribute size, and it is going to be equal to a tuple, and say that it will be 400 pixels in width and then 600 pixels in height. And now if you just execute it, you will now just see that it is now 400 pixels in width and then 600 pixels in height. And now this window is now looking pretty good for running this application on our mobile, and we're gonna do it once we complete it. So now on this window, we will be displaying all our buttons, all our images, all our sliders, song names, and everything that we need to add for our music player. So right in here, before this return keyword, I will just first of all name my button, and you can just name your button anything you want. And I will first of all name my button as play button for putting my play button on my window. And this is just going to be equal to a class that we will use in Kivy MD for putting buttons. And it is actually inside kvmd.uix.button, and that class is actually named as MD icon button instead of button. Okay, so right in here, now we can actually use this button, MD button icon button. And now in here, what I will do is that first of all, I'll just say that pause. First of all, I need to tell where I actually need to put this button. So I'll just use this attribute position hint, and this is just going to be equal to a dictionary. Now inside of this dictionary, first of all, I will just say where we want to put it on X and Y axis. So first of all, I'll just say that center underscore X, it's just going to be equal to 0.4, and then center along y, so it is center underscore y, and it's just gonna be equal to 0.55, 0.55. Okay, now for the second argument, in here, I need to tell what button I want to put. So basically, I have these two buttons in my project location, which is the play button and then the stop button. So I will just attach all the media files that we will actually need in making this application next to this video or the previous video that we have made. So you can actually download all the media files, and then we can use it, and then make sure that you just place it in your project location. So right in here, I will just say that icon is just going to be equal to the button or the image, which in this case is play.png. So I'll just say that play.png. PNG. Okay, so if that image is placed somewhere else on your computer, then you need to specify the exact location right here. But since it is placed in my project location, so I can access it directly with its name. But it is better to have it in your project location so that you can access it directly. But if it is not, then make sure that you just copy the exact location from there and then paste it right in here. Okay, so that was the play button, and now the next button I want to put is the stop button. So what I will do is that I will actually copy each and everything from here because I'm lazy, and now I'll just scroll it down and we'll just make a couple of changes. The first one is actually changing its name, and then the next one is along x-axis it will be 0.55, and then actually this one will be 0.05, and then this one will be 0.05 as well. And then actually I need to change its name to stop.png. Okay, so now in here we have these two buttons, play button and then the stop button. But if you just execute this application, you're gonna see actually nothing on your window, and this is because we actually have these two buttons, but we haven't put these two buttons in our layout. So in here, what we can do is that I can just simply say layout, which is actually this variable layout. And then since we want to add it, so in here I will just use this built-in method add widget. And now in here, first of all, I just want to put this play button. And then the next thing I want to put is this stop button. So self dot stop button. Okay, so now I can execute my application once again. And this time you should be able to see these two buttons. That is the play button and then the stop button. Okay, so in here you can see that I have created this folder Python inside my C drive, and now inside of this folder I have these three music files, and then I have these three images. So now what I will do is that inside of my code, I will first of all access this directly right here, and then we'll actually create a list of all of these files that is actually present inside of this folder Python. And then after creating that list, then what I will do is that from that list, I will only select these three MP3 files and we'll create a separate list of these three MP3 files, and that list is going to be my song list. So first of all, I actually need to access this location. So you can select this location either by Control L if you're using Windows, or Command L if you're using Mac. And then you can just press Control C, and now just open your PyCharm. And now in here, what I will do is that in here I will actually make that list. So let's create a variable inside of this function build. So it's going to be self dot, and I will just name it as music directory. And this thing is going to be basically this location, and you can just change this to the slash. And now what you can do is that okay. So now what you can do is that now you will actually create a music file. So first of all, I will just say that create a variable music underscore files, and then it's going to be OS. And now since I want to make a list of all of these music files that is actually inside of this folder, that is actually inside of this location. So I'm actually using this built-in function inside my OS module, which is list directory. And now since this location is actually present inside of this variable, we'll just copy it and then we'll just paste it right here. And now it will actually create a list of all the files that I have inside of this location. So I can actually show you all of these files by actually printing out this variable self dot music files. Okay, so now if I execute this code, let me just execute and now let me just close it. Okay, so in here, you can just see that you now have that list of all of these MP3 files and then these images. So you can just see that we have this list of all these images and music files. And now what I will do is that I will just take only basically these MP3 files from this list, and we'll create a separate list, and that list is going to be my song list. Okay, so now let me just okay. So now in here, what I will do is that I will create another variable, and that is going to be my song list. So self dot song list, and this is just going to be equal to basically since I want to make a list, so I will just say that X for X. So it would first of all loop over all of these music files, and then since we're only interested in MP3 files, so let's say for X in basically in my this variable music file self dot music files. And now what I want to do is that I only want to select the files that ends with .mp3. So in here I will just add this if statement, and I'll just say that if this variable X, which is actually this variable X, if X dot ends with and since all of my music files are ending with mp3, so let's say that all the files inside of this music file, inside of this variable music files that ends with .mp3, basically take out these files and then store it in this variable song list. And since it's going to be a list, and then store it in this variable song list. And now I can just show you this list as well. So let me just print out the song list. So song underscore list. Okay, so obviously it's going to be self dot song list. Okay, so now let me just execute this application once again, and let me just make it in the one direction. Okay, so first of all, in here you can just see that inside of this list we have all the music files and then the images, and now inside of this list, we have only all the files that ends with MP3 extension. So in here, you're going to see that now in here, we have all the audio files inside of this variable song list. So now what you can do is that you can create in here, you can create another variable, and that is going to be for the number of songs that we have in our song list. So in here, you can say that self dot song count, song underscore count, and this is just going to be equal to the length of basically this list, which is song list. So song underscore list, and obviously we need to add the self as well because we are working inside of a class. Okay, so now you can actually print out this variable as well. So print and then self dot song. I just started song count. Okay, so now you can execute this whole code once again. And here you can just close it, and then here you can see that the total number of songs that we have inside of this list is three because we only have three music files inside of that list. Okay, so now what I will do is that I will actually, so basically when I actually click on this play button, then what it should able be do, what it will do is that it should be able to play a song and say that for now we will just load any random song from our song list and then we will play it. So not only it will be able to play the song, but it will be able to stop the song that we are playing. So now let me just close, and now in here, so for this, what we will do is that we will actually create two functions. So we will actually be inside of this class my app, but make sure that you are now outside of this function. So you need to become outside of this function, but inside of this class. So now right in here, I'll just create a function, and I will just name it as play audio. Okay, so the first one will be self, and then the next thing that will pass will be an object. And now in here, first of all, I will just say that self dot song title. So song title is going to be equal to self dot song song list. We're actually accessing the song list in which we have all our song. And now what I will do is that I will actually load any random song from my song list. So in here, I will just say that random, actually, basically calling this random module that we have imported right here at the top, which is right here. And now I'm actually using this random module to basically and now what is going to be the range of this random module? So in here, I'm just using another function inside of this random module, and that is a rand range. And it will actually start from 0, and then it will end is actually self dot the total number of songs that we have inside song list. Okay, so yeah, that's all we need to be doing. And oops, this is not a argument. This is actually a function. So we need to use this dot right here because we're actually calling a function inside of this module random. Okay, so now we have the song title, which will be loaded completely randomly from the song, basically from the song list, which is so the first item is that the first song is at index number 1, the second one will be at index number 1, and the third one will be at index number 2. So it will actually load any random song from my song list. Simple, it's just basic Python. And now the next thing I will do is that let me just print out the song title as well. So self dot song title. And now the next thing I will do is that I'll actually load the sound as well. So self dot sound. And now this is just going to be equal to sound loader, and it is actually the class that we have imported right here at the top from kivy.co.audio, and now we are actually using it to load our sound. So a sound loader, and now in here I actually need to call a function inside of that class, and that function is called load. And now inside of that load, we actually need to specify the file name that we want to load, but we will be loading it in some specific format, and that is going to be basically this format. But first of all, let me just write, and then I'll explain. So that is going to be format. So here we will have something. So first of all, here we will have something, and then here we will have slash to separate out this thing, and then this thing. Okay, and now I will call this format function. So format, and now first of all, I want to load self dot music directory. And the next thing I want to pass is basically self dot song song underscore title. Okay, so basically, first of all, what we are loading is that we are actually loading the music directory, and then we are actually loading the song title. So it will actually display, first of all, the music directory and then the music title, but these two things will be separated with this component. So in here, we will have this music directory, and then we will have the slash, and then in here we will have the song title. Okay, so now in order to play that song in here, what I will do is that I will just simply say self dot sound dot call this built-in function play. Okay, so yeah, there is actually for playing the audio, and once the audio is actually being played, we should have that option to pause it or stop it as well. So I'm just going to create another function, and that is will be for stopping my audio. And in here, what I will do is that first of all, it will be self, and then the next one will be an object. And now in here, so in here, whatever song it is actually playing right here, we actually need to stop it. So in here, I will say that self.sound dot let's use this built-in function called stop for stopping the music. Simple simple. Okay, so now in here we have these two functions for playing the song and then for stopping the song. Okay, now in here where music will be played once I actually click on this play button. So in here we actually need to tell what's going to happen to you when someone actually clicks on you. So right in here for the next argument, I will just say that on underscore press, this is actually the attribute. What's going to happen if you are pressed? Okay, if you are pressed, then you actually need to call a function which is called um, play audio. So it is play audio, and make sure that you do not have these two parentheses right here because we are actually not calling a function, we are just referencing it. Okay, so that is what you need to be doing. And now in here, for the stop button, what's going to happen if someone actually press the stop button? So what it's going to do is that it will actually call another function which is stop audio. And again, make sure that you do not use these parentheses right here because we are actually not calling a function, we're actually just referencing it, and that you actually need to basically call this function because we're actually saying that what's going to happen once someone actually press on it. So we actually need to give the reference of this function. Okay, so yeah, that's all we need to be doing for this video. Now, the last thing that we will do is that we will actually run this entire application. Okay, so now once I actually click on this play button, what it will do is that it will actually load any random song from my song list and then we'll simply play it. So let's just click on it. Okay, so now in this case, it has loaded this song Risk MP3, but we are actually not listening it. Well, actually, you might listen it, but I'm not listening it because I have my microphone plugged in. But I just plugged it off. Let me first of all stop it. Okay, so now I have plugged off my microphone, and that is why my sound might be looking a little bit different for you. But just for making sure that I also listen to this music and make sure that it's working properly. Okay, so I have actually closed the previous application, and then I have executed this code once again. And now let's just click on this play button. Okay, so now in here you can just see that it actually has loaded a random song. In this case, it is loaded this song, Powerful Beat MP3. But now you can actually stop it as well. Just click on the stop button, and now you can actually click on this play button again. And now again, what it will do is that it will actually load again any random song from the song list, and then we'll actually play it. So let's just load it. And in this case, it has loaded this song, random song, which in this case is a risk.mp3. I hope that you are listening it. If not, you can just turn your volume up, and again you can actually stop it and then just play it again. And this time it has loaded this song. Stop it, play it again, stop it, play it again, and then you can just keep on playing it forever. Okay, so Now I'm going to basically close this application, and now yeah, that's it for this video. We only actually played the song and then stopped the song, and now we will be adding more functions. We're going to be creating a label image for our music player, so let's just get started. So in here, first of all, we need to import the label and image class, and let's just import it right here. So from kivy.uix.label, we're going to be importing label class, and then from kivy.uix.image, we can be importing the image class. Okay, so now we have imported these classes. Now we just need to create it, and let's just create it right here. So first of all, I will just name this label as song label, because on this label I will have the title of the song that is going that is going to be played, and here I'm going to put it equal to that built-in class label. And now I need to define where you need to put this label. So for this I'm going to be using this argument position hand, which is going to be my dictionary. And now in here I will first of all say what is the center x position. So the center x position is going to be 0.5. And then what is going to be my center y position? So center underscore y position is going to be 0.96. Okay, so just 0.96. So it is 96. Okay. For the next argument, I need to tell basically the size of this label. So the argument, basically the attribute that I'm going to be using for it is the size hint, and it will be 1, 1, 1. And then what is going to the font size of this label? So the attribute that we use for this purpose is font size is just going to be equal to 18. Okay, so now we have created the song label, and now we need to basically create an image for that music as well. So I will just name this image as album image. You can just name it anything you want, album image. And well, I have, okay, let's just make this one small as well. So song label. Okay, so now in here for the album image, I'm going to put it equal to that built-in class image that I've imported, and I need to first of all define the position and then the size of it. So I'm going to basically copy this whole thing. So copy, and I'm going to paste it right in here. And let's just state the center x position is going to be 0.5, while for center y, say that it just gonna be equal to 0.55. And then for my size hint, it just gonna be equal to zero point 0.8 and then 0.75. 0.75. Okay, so now we have basically the song label and then this image label created. Now we actually need to put it on our layout or window. So we'll just add it right here. So in here, let's say that layout dot add widget. And first of all, I will just add my song label. So song label. Next, I'm gonna add my album image. So it is self dot album image. Okay, so now we can execute our code, and you will actually see basically this label and then this image actually created. But obviously there is nothing on it. But now we can actually put title of the title of the song and then the image that we want to put on this album image. So let's do it, and then it will actually make more sense. So now right in here, inside the play audio function, we're gonna do it. And before it actually plays the song, it first of all needs to basically display the name of the song, and then so right in here, let's just do it, and then I will explain. Okay, so in here I will just say that the song label tags, and the song label is actually the label that we have created a minute ago. The text on it is just going to be so for now just say that it's just going to be demo tags just for showing purposes. And then for the image, I'll just say that it is album image, and where that image is actually placed. So in here, I have this image p.jpg and r.jpg. So they say that I will just load any image and say that it will be r.jpg, or it could be any image. It could be music.jpg, any image that you want to put. But just for showing purposes, I have just set the text on my song label to be demo text, and then the album image to be r.jpg. But now let's just execute this code and just see if we are having this text and image. So in here, you can just see that we have this demo text, and then we have this image that you can just see right here on your layout. But this is actually not the text that we want to put on our layout. Now we're going to be changing it, and that is going to be basically the title of the song that is being currently played. Okay, so now right in here, for the text, I will just say that it is not in inverted comma, it is self dot what I have named it, I think it is song title. Okay, so it will actually display the title this time on the label of the song that is being currently played. And remember that the song will be played completely randomly from my song list. And then the album image will be, let's just change it to music.jpg. Okay, so now let's just execute this code and see if, okay, so now this time you can see that it actually choose this random song, and in here we're actually seeing this thing, which is the name of the song and then .mp3, which is the extension. So now we can actually play it, and I hope that you are listening to this music, and then you can actually stop it, and then you can actually play this music again and then stop it. So it is continuously putting random music and then actually displaying the title right here. Okay, so now what I want is that I do not want this short mp3 thing with my music name or with my music title. So for this, what I can do is that I can just tell Python that, okay, I actually want to include the text starting from this index, which is the 0th index, and then till the last index. Now we don't know what the last index is because the last index for this song is actually this location. So 0, 1, 2, and then all the way down to 1. But say that if we just play another song, then the last location of this song, the index number of the last item is actually different. And then similarly, for this one, it is going to be again different. So what I can do is that I can actually say tell Python in here, I'm going to say basically, okay, just start from the 0th index and then basically go till the last index, basically, which is -4. So let me just execute this code. Now, so basically -4, -1 actually means the last index, -2 actually means the last item, the second last item, -3 actually means the third last item, and -4 actually means the fourth last item. So it will only include 0 till basically that location, which is -4, which is the fourth last item of the in which we have the name. And if you just execute it, you can just see that if so at the end we have dot mp3, which are actually 4 characters, and that is why in here we are actually putting -4. So now if you just execute this code, okay, so it's just saying that, okay, oops. This should be actually a colon because we are actually going through a range. And now let's just execute this code. And this time you can just see that .mp3 is gone because we have told Python start from index number 0 till this fourth last item, which is now at this moment this thing. Okay, so now we can actually play it, and then we can actually stop it, and then just play it again, and now you can just see that it is .mp3 is now no more included in the title. Okay, so now in the next video we're going to continue working on this music player, and we will just make it more dynamic, and we'll just make it look like a real music player that you can actually upload on Play Store or on Android or on the iPhone App Store, and then people can actually go and download your music player as well. Okay, in here you can just see that we have the title of the song, which is right here, and then we have the image, you can just see, which is right here. Okay, so if I just play a song and then just stop it and then just play it again, you can just see that the title of the song is changed, but the image is actually not changed. Now what I want is that I want to display a different image each time a new song is played. So for example, if the first song is played, then the image which is linked to the first song should be displayed. And then similarly, if the third or fourth song is played, then the image which is linked to third or fourth, then the image which is linked to the third and fourth song should be displayed right here. So right in here you can see that I have basically a p.jpg, r.jpg, and then d.jpg. So basically, I have basically three songs, and the first song actually starts with D, the second song starts with P, and then the third song actually starts with R. So now what I'm going to do is that right in here, I'm going to say that in the play song, yeah, right in here, what I'm going to do is that I will just basically tell basically where my title is actually. Yeah, right in here, I'm going to get rid of this thing and this thing as well. What I'm going to do is that I will just say that self dot song title, and then the first character of the song name is going to be the name of the image. Like for example, say that the first song actually starts with P, then the image that is going to be linked with that song is going to be p.jpg. So that is actually the first character in the name of the song. So right in here, I will just pass this first index, which is at index number 0. Okay, next I will just concatenate the extension as well, which is .jpg. .jpg. Okay, so now if I just execute this code, now this time you will just see different image each time when a new song is being played. So let's just execute this code, and now let's just play it. And in here now you can just see that, let me just stop it. And here you can see that we have a p.jpg loaded because the first character right here is a p, so it's just gonna load p.jpg. And now let me just play it again and then stop it and then display it again. And now you can see that another song is loaded, but this time the image is changed, which is r.jpg, because this song title actually starts with R, so it's gonna actually load the first this image r.jpg, because this R is at index number 0 for this song. And then same goes for this song d.jpg as well. Okay, so this is how we can actually display it. Now another thing that I want to add is basically right in here where I have actually this title. So I have this title right in here, and now what I can actually do is that I can actually concatenate something before as well, and that is going to be say that um, link, and then I will have this thing, and so let me just add these spaces right here, and then this space right here as well. So I'm actually concatenating this string with the title so that it actually looks more good. Okay, so now let me just execute this code once again, and now let me just play this song, and now you can see this thing that playing, then this music, and now let me just stop and then just play it again, and now you can see that it's actually now playing this song Risk and then this thing with a different image. Okay, now let me just stop it and then let's close this application, and now let me just execute it once again. Okay, now in here the problem is that when I just execute the application for the first time, you can just see that the text label and then the image label is empty. So what I'm going to do is that I will just add an image. So basically when I execute this application, it's just going to basically play the song directly instead of I actually click on this play button to play a song. So as soon as I execute this application, what it's going to do is that it's going to basically load that image for a song. So for this, I actually need to use clock. So first of all, I need to import yeah, basically clock from the Kivy module. So right in here, I will just import it. I will just say that Kivy dot it is actually inside my clock, and then I'm going to import this class clock. Okay, so now I have imported it, and now what I'm going to do is that in here I'm going to basically tell when I execute the code for the first time, and you need to call the play audio function. And for this, I actually need to use basically this clock, and then inside a function, inside of it, this function called schedule once, because I only want to call this function only one when I execute the code. When I execute the code for the first time, I do not want to call it again and again after a specific interval of time, or again and again because I only want to call this function once so that I can have an image, and then my song is actually being played by default instead of I click on the play button to play the song. So what a function I want to call? I want to call this function. It should be self dot play. Oops, not like this. Play audio, and make sure that you do not use these parentheses right here. And now if you just execute this code, this time you will just see that we now have, you can just see that it actually plays the song, put take basically just took any random song and it just plays it. But now this function will be called, this line of code will be executed only once. It will not be executed again and again, and we'll call this function again and again. This function play audio will now be called when I actually click on this play button. So when I execute the code for the first time, it's going to call this function play audio, and that's it. Next time, the play audio function is going to be called when I actually click on the play button. And the reason we actually use this because I want my music to be played by default as soon as I execute my application instead of I actually click on the play button and then play the song. So I hope it is making sense. Okay, so basically, you can just see that once I actually play the song, now if I actually click on the play button, it is again playing a song, and then if I just click on it again, it is again playing a song. So it's kind of a mess. Now what we want is that we want to disable this button once actually the song is actually playing. So first of all, by default, what I will do is that I will actually first of all disable the stop button, and then when I click on the play button, then this button should be disabled. So let's just do it, and then it will actually make sense to you. So now right in here, inside my stop button, I'll just use another attribute, which is going to be disabled, and I'm going to set its value equal to true, means that this button will be disabled as soon as I actually create this button. So by default, I'm just setting disabled equal to true. So this button by default will be disabled. But once this play audio function will be called, and it will be first of all called with this function schedule once, then what it can do is that it can actually start playing the music. So what I will do is that I will first of all disable it. So let's say that self dot play button dot disabled, it's just gonna be true, and then I'll just say that self dot stop button. Now since the play button is now disabled, now the stop button should not be disabled. So in here, initially it was disabled, and now I'm going to set its value equal to false. False. Okay, now inside the stop audio button, since in here, once the stop audio function is called, and it will be called once the stop button is actually clicked. So when the stop button is clicked, then I want to actually disable it. So for this, I will just say that stop button dot disable, it's just gonna be true. And once it is disabled, then the play button should not be disabled. So let's say that self play button dot disabled is just gonna be equal to false. False. And yeah, that's all we need to be doing. And now what I'm actually doing is that I'm actually plugging off my microphone, so my voice might look a little bit different, but I'm actually plugging it off so that I can actually listen to the music as well. Okay, so now I have turned off my microphone, and let me just execute this code. Okay, so now you can just see that. First of all, let me just stop this music, and now let me just play it. Okay, so now the music is being played, and now I actually cannot click on it. You can see I'm actually clicking it, but it is not playing a new song. I have to first of all stop this song in order to play another song. So let's just disable it. Let's just click on the stop button, and let's just click on the play button once again. But when the play button is actually being played, once the song is being played, means that this button is now disabled. I cannot click on this play button again to play a new song. I first of all have to disable this button. Basically, click on the stop button, start playing a new song. So first of all, we need to import progress bar. So right in here, we'll just import it. So from Kivy.uix.progressbar. We can have importing this class progress bar. Okay, so now we have imported it. Now we can actually create it, and let's just create it right here. So in here, I will just name my progress bar as progress bar. You can just name it anything you want and put it equal to that class that we've imported, which is progress bar. Okay, now in here, we actually need to pass some argument. And first of all, I will just pass what is going to be the maximum value of my progress bar. So the maximum value will be 100, and the value by default will be 0. So it will actually start from 0, and then the maximum value it will actually go through will be 100. Okay, next I want to basically define where actually I want my progress bar. So right in here, we'll just say that position underscore hint is just going to be equal to a dictionary. And now in here, I actually need there where I want it in center X. So at center X, I want it to be at, say that I would just want it to be at 0.5. And next, I need to tell where I want it to be at center Y. So center Y. So basically, this thing should be in single or double quotation. So center Y is just going to be equal to center Y is going to be equal to 0.12. Okay, now for the next argument, I need to tell what is actually going to be the size. So size underscore hint is just going to be equal to, so size hint will be zero point 0.8 comma point 76 or 0.75. Okay, so now I have this progress bar created. Now all I need to do is to actually add it. So I'm going to add it right here at layout.add widget. And what I want to add this time, I want to add this progress bar that I have created right here. Okay, so now we just execute this application. You will just see we have this progress bar, but you can just see that it is actually not updating, and this is because we haven't instructed our progress bar to update, but now we're going to do it. So let's just update our progress bar. And for this, what I'm going to do is that I will actually create a separate function which will be responsible for updating my progress bar. So let me just scroll it down, and I will just create this function right here. And this function will be responsible for updating my progress bar. So that is, we'll just name it as progress bar, and the only thing I need to pass is the value of that progress bar. Okay, so first of all, I will just check if the value of the progress bar is less than 100 or not, because if it is actually equal to 100 means that the song has reached to its full length. Now we do not need to update the progress bar, but if the value of the progress bar is less than 100, then we actually need to update the progress bar while the song is playing. So right in here, I will just check if self dot progress bar dot value is less than 100, then what I want to do is that I want to update my progress bar value by 1. So in here I will just say that self dot progress bar dot value plus equal to 1. Okay, so in here, I'm just checking if the progress bar value is less than 100. I want to update it by 1, but if the progress bar value is equal to 100, means that the song has reached to its full length. Now we do not need to update this progress bar. Okay, now here is one important thing you need to see is that I actually need to call this function progress bar again and again, update progress bar function again and again after a specific interval of time, so that this function can update the progress bar after a specific amount of time. So in here, what I'm going to do is that I will actually use again the clock, again a function inside a clock function, which will actually call this update progress bar function after a specific interval of time. So let's do it. So in here, since the update progress bar, the progress bar will be updating while the song is being played. So that is why in here we actually need to work right here inside this play audio function. So now right in here, what I'm going to do is that I will just say that I will create first of all a variable, and I will just name this variable as this thing. And now previously, if you remember, when we only need to call this function only once, which is the play audio function, yeah, right in here, So previously I was just calling using this function schedule once to call this function only once. But now since we need to call this update progress bar function again and again while the audio is actually being played. So that is why we are actually working inside of this function. So this time we're going to be using a different function. And this function is named as clock.schedule interval because we need to actually call the update progress bar function after a specific interval of time. So that is why we actually using this built-in function inside the clock module schedule interval. Okay, now for the schedule interval of we actually need to pass two arguments. The first one is actually what function we want to call. Okay, so in this case, we want to call a function called this function actually update progress bar, and make sure that you do not have these two around parentheses. Now the next thing we need to pass is at what length you want to call this function. Okay, so in here I'll just say that self dot we want to call this function when the sound is being played. So I'm going to basically use this sound, which is actually this variable sound in which I was loading the music directory and then the music title. So I'll just say that sound dot length because I want to call this function with some length divided by 16. Okay, so whatever is actually the length of the sound, I'm actually dividing it by 100 and then I'm actually calling this update progress bar with this length. So I hope it is making sense. It will actually depend upon the song that is being played, and then it can actually call this update progress bar function with this length. It will actually take the sound length and then will divide it by. So say that if the song is very very big, then the progress bar will update slowly as well. But because you know that the value is somewhere in between 0 to 100 in the progress bar because we have set the maximum value of the progress bar to 100. So if the song is very very large, then it will actually update slowly. But if the song is less than, if say that it's very very small in length, then the progress bar will update fast. So that is why it will actually depend. The abbreviation of the progress bar will depend upon the length of the sound, and then we're actually dividing it by 60 so that it can actually update accordingly with this interval. Okay, so now we have this thing, and now our progress bar should update. And let us execute this function. And now you can just see that we have this progress bar, which is actually updating because this song is not so big. So that is why it is actually updating slowly. But if we have some other song, then it's going to actually update differently. Okay, so let's do it. So first of all, let's just create these labels, and I'm going to create it right here. So the first one I will just create is the current label, and I'm going to put it equal to a built-in class label. Okay, for the label, first of all, I will have the text on this label, and initially I will just set the text to 00 colon 00. But obviously we're going to be updating this text using a separate function. But for now, let's just create this label. Okay, so now we have the time, and then the next argument that we will pass is the position underscore hint argument, and this is going to be equal to a dictionary. And now in here, first of all, I need to tell where I want it uh, along x-axis. So along x-axis, I want it to be at 0.16. So 0.16. And then where I want it along y-axis, so center underscore y. So center underscore y will be 0.145. So 0.145. Okay, now for the next argument, I will just define the size. So size underscore hint is just going to be equal to 1 1. So 1 comma 1, and then for the next argument I will just define the font size. So the font underscore size will be 18. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create another label, and that is going to be my basically my total duration time label. So in here, let me just change it to current time label and then total time label. So total time label. Okay, so the text on it will be 0000 initially as well, but that will be different depending upon the total duration of a song. So here we have the total time, and then here we have the current time. Well, let's just remove this thing because this is not looking good. Okay, so just leave it as current time and then the total time. Okay, so in here for the total time, we just need to change the location. So at center X, it will be 0.84, 0.84, and then for center Y, it's just gonna be the same. Okay, so now in here we have created both of this label. Now we will just put it um, on our layout. So self dot it is basically sorry, it is layout dot add widget, and then first of all we'll just put the current time, and then I will just put the total time. Okay, so now let's just execute this code, and you will just see both of these label right here. But obviously in here you just see that we are just seeing 00, and it is not updating depending upon the depending upon the duration of the song that is being played. But let's just do it. Let's just update it. So for this, what I'm going to do is that I will just create a separate function, and that is going to be set a timeout function. And what it will do is that it will actually update this value, which is the current time duration, and then the total duration, which is actually the total duration of the song that is being played. So right in here, I will just create a function, and let's just create this function right here. And let me just scroll it down, and let me just minimize the screen as well. And in here, we'll just create this function, and let's just name this function as set time. And the only argument we need to pass is basically the time. And now in here, what I'm going to do is I will say that my current time, so current underscore time is just going to be equal to um, time dot time dot st strf time. And now in here we want to display times in minutes and seconds. So right in here I'll just say that percentage, first of all we will have minutes, and then between minutes and second we will have this colon. So first of all minutes, and then percentage seconds. So between minutes and second we will have this colon. Okay, next in here we will just pass the time. So right in here let's say that um, time dot gm time, and here we need to pass the value that we want to have for our current time. So for the current time, we will take that value from the progress bar. So I will just say that self dot progress bar dot value. So progress bar dot value. So whatever we have, whatever value that we will have from the progress bar, we're actually taking that value and then storing it in this variable current time. And then for my total time, I will just say that total underscore time is just gonna be equal to the same thing. So what I'm gonna do is that not actually the same thing, but we're just making a little changes. So I'm gonna actually copy it and just paste it right in here. And now for this, it is actually the same, but for the total time, it is actually the time that is actually the total duration of our song. So right in here, I'll just say that self dot sound dot dot length. So what it will do is that it will actually take the total length of the sound or the audio that is being played, and then we'll store it in this variable total time. So in that way, we will have the total time of that song stored in this variable total time. Okay, so now we have these two variables in which we will have the current time and then the total time. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to basically set basically the label values. So by default, their text is, if I can show you, so by default, the current time label and the total time label, the text on it is 00, but now it's just gonna be equal to basically these values, the current time value and the total time value. So now I will just say that self dot the current time label, um, and then the text on it. So the text on it will now be equal to current time, which is actually this variable current time. And now I will just say that self dot total time, self dot total time. dot text is just gonna be equal to total time. Okay, so now we have this set timeout function. Now again, if you are smart enough, you would have noticed that we actually need to call this function again and again because the total duration, because the current duration will be changing again and again, and we're going to be basically calling this function after every 1 second so that the current duration will change after every 1 second. So again, we're going to be using clock for this, and again, just like previously, we have called the update progress bar function using the schedule interval. And now what we're going to do is that, so I'm going to actually basically copy it and I'm going to paste it now right in here. And now in here, I will just call this as time event. So time event. And now what it will do is that it will actually call this function that we have created, which is the set time function again and again after every 1 second. So after every 1 second, so in here now for the second argument, we need to pass this one. And this actually means that it will actually call this function set time after every 1 second, and after every 1 second, these values will get updated. That is current time and then the total time. Okay, so yeah, that's all we need to be doing for the current time and the total time. And now let's just execute this whole code, and you will now see that. Okay, so now in here you're going to see that the total duration of it is 48 seconds, because in here we have actually minutes, and before colon we have minutes and after colon we have seconds. The total duration is 48 seconds, and at this moment it is 21:22. It is updating, but now another problem is that once I actually click on the stop button, you can just see that it is actually not stopping. The progress bar is not stopping, and then the current duration is not stopping as well. So for this, I will just say that what's going to happen when I click on the stop button. So actually, when I click on the stop button, it is actually calling this function stop audio. And once after stopping the audio, I'm going to tell that I want to basically cancel the progress event, the time event, and everything set to 0. So in here, I will just first of all say that self dot progress bar event, and I want to cancel it. So I will call this function cancel. And next thing I want to cancel is the time event as well. So time event dot cancel. And now I want to basically so I'll say that self dot progress bar dot value. I will just so it was actually previously updating, but now I'm setting its value equal to 0. And now I will just set the text of the current time to 0 as well once the stop function is called, and it is called once when I actually click on the stop button. So I'll just say that current time dot text is just equal to 00 colon 00, and now similarly self dot total time dot txt or text is just going to be equal to it's just gonna be equal to 00 as well. So 00 colon 00. Okay, so yeah, that's all we need to be doing. And now let's just execute this function. And hopefully when now in here, you're going to see this updating. When I click on the stop button, you can just see that it is actually set to 0 and the progress bar is set to 0 as well. And now a new song is being played, and now it is again updating the length of this. This song is, so let me just play it again. The length of the previous song was 1 minute and 12 seconds, and it is at this location right now. But now when I click on the stop button, you can just see that everything is now set to 0. My progress bar is set to 0 as well. Yeah, so let's do it. So right in here, first of all, I will just import the slider. So it is Kivy from uix.slider. We're going to be importing the slider class. And now let's just create the slider, and let's just create it right here. So yeah, we're going to be creating it right here. So self dot, I will just name it as volume slider, and I'm going to put it equal to this class slider. And now we need to pass a couple of attributes, like what is going to be the minimum position, what is going to be the minimum value of the slider, what is the maximum value, what is going to be a default value, the orientation, and we want to put, and then what is the size of what is going to be the size of our volume slider. So let's do it. So first of all, I will just say that the minimum value will be equal to 0. The maximum value the minimum value, the maximum value will be equal to 1, means that is the volume will be somewhere in between 0 to 1, like 0.1, 0.2, and somewhere like there. While the default value will be equal to 0.5, means that when I execute the application for the first time, the volume will be set to 0.5 by default. And next, let's just say I want some orientation and say that so you can either have horizontal orientation for this volume slider, or you can have vertical orientation. So I will just go for the horizontal one. So in here I'll just need to pass horizontal. And the next thing, I can just control my cursor. Okay, the next thing I'll just pass is where actually I want my slider. So I'm going to basically use this function, this argument position hand, and then it's going to be equal to a dictionary. And now in here, first of all, I will just tell where I want it. X-axis, along x-axis, it will be uh, 0.2. So it is going 0.2, not here, here. So 0.2, and then where I want it y-axis. So center underscore y, and center underscore y will be 0.05, 0.05. Okay, next, I just need to pass what is going to be the size. So I'll just use this argument size hand. It's going to be equal to zero point 0.2 and then zero point 0.2. Okay, so now our slider has been created, and all we need to do is to actually add it to our widget. So it is self dot volume slider. Okay, so now let's just execute this code, and we can stop this music, and you can see that we have the slider. By default, its value is 0.5, means that it is at the center. And now we can actually slide it to the left and right, but it won't impact the music because we haven't instructed our player yet that the while I actually move the slider, then the sound of the music should be increased or decreased. So let's do it. So for this, I'm going to be creating a function, and that function will actually basically uh, basically impact the volume of my music. So right in here, let's just create this function. Yeah, let's just create this function right here. So first of all, let me just scroll it down to make sure everything is visible. And now I will just name this function as volume. And for the volume function, I will just pass the instance and then the value. So instance and then the value. And now right in here, um, I will just say that self dot sound dot volume is just going to be equal to the volume. So once I'm actually sliding the slider, we will actually get this value right here. And I'll just say that the sound volume is going to be basically this value. And now how we're going to actually call this function. Now we're going to call this function as I'm actually playing with the slider. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to basically bind this function with my slider. So I will just do it something like this. So self dot volume slider, and I'm actually binding my volume slider that I've created. I just named it as volume slider, and I'm just binding it with a function, and this function is going to be my volume function. So I'll just say that its value is going to be uh, volume. Okay, so now what I'm actually doing right here is that I'm actually binding my volume slider that I've created in this video, and I was binding it to this function. And the reason I'm actually binding it is and it actually means that when I have some kind of connection, or I'm actually playing with my slider. So as long as I'm actually playing, this function will be calling it again and again. So now let's just execute this whole code. Okay, so now you can see that this music is actually being played, and now I'm actually playing with this slider, and you're going to see that the music is either decreasing or increasing. So as I'm just moving to the left, the music is decreasing, and I'm just moving to the right, the music is increasing. So as I'm actually playing with the slider, this bind function is actually calling this function again and again because we have set the value equal to volume, which is actually this function, and it's setting the volume according to the slider. So yeah, this is how we actually put volume to music player in Kivy.